Chapter 9. Convergence. Jessica moved slowly, her rifle trained on Leon as he stumbled ahead. Her mind was a storm, each step feeling heavier than the last. She glanced at her hand again, expecting to see the squirming worms under her skin, but they were gone. The humming in her ears persisted, but aside from that, she felt normal, maybe even stronger. She kept the bite hidden, not daring to tell the others. She didn't want to infect them, didn't want to stay and risk hurting anyone in the resistance. Leon's voice broke the silence, shaking her from her thoughts. "You don't have to do this," he pleaded, his voice a whimper. Jessica glared at him, her disgust barely concealed. "Keep moving. Shut up." Her mind wandered back to Jackson, her brother. Where was he? What could General Cody be doing to him? She fought to stay calm, but her pulse quickened at the thought. The sound of Leon's shuffling steps kept her grounded, but then she noticed something ahead. Floodlights. A harsh white glare cut through the darkness at the end of the street. Instinctively, she gripped her rifle tighter, her heart thudding in her chest. Unbeknownst to her, Rico and Vega were following from a distance, about a block back. They moved quietly, staying in the shadows. Vega pulled out a pair of binoculars and scanned the area, spotting the floodlights Jessica had noticed. "There," she whispered to Rico. "They've got a perimeter set up. We need to find a way around." Rico nodded, his face tense. "Stay low. Let's circle wide." But General Cody had already planned for this. In the control room, he watched the footage streaming from the cameras placed strategically around the block. His eyes were glued to the screen, tracking Jessica, Leon, and the shadows of Rico and Vega. He allowed a thin smile to cross his lips. "They think they're being clever," he muttered. Next to him, one of his assistants looked up from the monitor, a look of surprise on his face. "Sir, there's something strange with the scans." "What is it?" Cody asked, already knowing the answer. "Leon isn't the one infected," the assistant replied, pointing at the monitor. "It's her, Jessica. The readings are off the charts." Cody's smile widened. "Interesting." He grabbed the radio and barked orders to the soldiers on the ground. "Stop them where they are. Don't engage yet. I want them alive." Jessica's pace faltered when a voice boomed from a hidden PA system, echoing off the rubble-strewn buildings around her. "Stop right there!" Her heart leaped into her throat. She froze, her rifle trembling in her hands. The voice changed, growing more familiar. "Hello, Jessica," came General Cody's voice, calm and chilling. "Nice to finally meet you. Do you know who I am?" Jessica's lips trembled, but she forced herself to speak. "Jackson said you're our father." There was a pause. Cody's grin widened. Yes, I am." Jessica's mind swirled. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her, crushing her resolve. She blinked, fighting back tears, but her voice cracked. "Where's Jackson? Where's Rosa?" "You'll see them soon, I promise," Cody replied smoothly. "But first, you need to come in. I can help you, Jessica. You're infected. You need treatment." Jessica's body went rigid. The tears she'd fought to suppress spilled down her cheeks, reflecting the floodlights like tiny diamonds. All she wanted was to be with Jackson, to make sure he was safe. But Cody's words gnawed at her. Infected? Her mind spun in confusion and dread, but her body felt different, stronger. The bite. It had done something to her. Behind her, the faint sound of footsteps echoed through the broken streets. Soldiers were closing in. Rico and Vega crouched behind the remnants of a building, watching from afar, horror spreading on their faces as they processed the conversation. "She's infected?" Rico muttered, glancing at Vega. Vega's face was stony. "We need to get her out of there." Before they could act, a sharp buzzing sound filled the air. Suddenly, they were surrounded. Soldiers poured from the shadows, aiming rifles at them. Rico barely had time to react before he and Vega were hit with high-voltage electrical charges. Pain exploded in his body, and everything went black. Jessica watched in shock as soldiers appeared from nowhere, rushing her and Leon. Leon was yanked to the ground, and a soldier leveled his gun at his head. "Wait!" Jessica screamed, stepping forward, but it was too late. The gun fired with a deafening crack, and Leon's head exploded in a spray of blood and bone. His body slumped to the ground, lifeless. "No!" Jessica's scream was primal, and the earth responded to her rage. The ground beneath her feet began to rumble violently. Buildings shook, dust and debris falling from the cracks in the walls. The soldier stepped back in fear, but Cody's voice rang out again. "Secure the package," he ordered, his voice cold and unyielding. Before she could react, a group of soldiers surged forward, tranquilizers hitting her from every angle. She staggered, the world spinning around her, and then everything went black. Back at the lab, Rosa's eyelids fluttered open. Her body was restrained tightly to a bed, tubes protruding from her arms and legs, connecting to machines that beeped and hummed incessantly. Her vision was blurry, but she could make out other beds nearby, other figures bound like her. Their breathing was slow and labored, matching the rhythm of the machines. Her head lolled to the side as she heard a faint alarm in the distance, the sound distant and distorted. A wave of drowsiness washed over her, pulling her back into unconsciousness. General Cody stood before his men, his chest puffed with pride. "We're one step closer to creating the ultimate super soldier," he declared, his voice ringing out across the room. His soldiers erupted in cheers, their voices filled with anticipation. His assistant stepped forward, hesitating for a moment. "Sir, the boy. He's asking to see you." Cody's expression darkened, but he forced a smile. "Bring him to me," he said slowly, his voice dripping with malice. "Let him speak to his father."